So much going on in sports today. I can go on for hours, y'all, but I'm going to keep it light. So on tap, I have my reaction to the James Harden trade. I have some thoughts on a Deshaun Watson situation down in Houston. It's almost draft season, so Patriots fans, you're not going to want to miss what I think they should do at number 15. And lastly, I'm going to close out the show with my conference championship predictions. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Marquez, and this is the Draft Lord Show. Sometimes initial reactions aren't always the best. If you would have asked me what I thought about the James Harden deal when it was made, I would have hated it. I would have hated it for both sides. But now, hindsight, looking back on it, almost a full week and a half since the trade was made, I do have some different thoughts about it. Now, the deal itself, I think, is a big win for the city of Houston. The haul that they got from Brooklyn is massive, unlike anything I've ever seen. 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2022, 2024, 2026. Plus the Bucks first round pick in 2022 and 4 pick swaps in the years 2023, 2025, 27, and 28. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets won't have a meaningful first round pick until almost next decade. To me, that is incredible. I don't know how a franchise can really plan for the long haul if they're giving up first-round picks for the next 8 years. Now, I know first-round picks in the NBA really aren't as valuable as they are in other sports. Not many really pan out to be true all-stars, but still, you're giving up 8 future first-round picks for James Harden. For Houston, I think it's great. The Nets, not so much. But let's talk about Brooklyn's motive. I mean, they want to win a championship now. That's why they brought in Kevin Durant. They essentially paid him however much money a year it was, to basically sit out a year hurt. They paid him that to sit out hurt last year. Went out and got Kyrie, and now they got James Harden. They're doing this to win a championship now. That's their motive, the only motive they have. They want to win a championship now. Can they do it? I don't know. Keeping NBA stars and happy in general is a tough thing to do. Keeping 3 on one team, each with issues of their own, I think is even harder. But the Nets are all in on winning now. And if they don't, you'll be able to point back to the Harden deal as one that destroyed a franchise for a decade to come. I mean, these NBA stars have too much power. If they aren't happy, they can force themselves out of basically any situation. And that's really the problem with the NBA. That's why the NBA will still and always be number 4, to me, of the 4 major sports. Okay, gone are the days of loyalty to team. Gone are the days of the Duncans and the Kobes and the Dirks. That's no longer going to exist again. But the Nets knew the risk. They made the deal anyways. And because of it, they are instant contenders and maybe the favorite to represent the East in the NBA. But again, I just don't think it'll work. Now, we've seen James Harden a couple games already. He looks great. Still fat, but he looks great. I mean, this whole argument isn't about whether James Harden is great. It's about whether these players are going to mesh on this team. Okay? Personally, I don't think there's enough shots to go around. All right? You have 3 guys who can take the final shot. Who's going to take the final shot? What seems like a luxury could really turn into a pretty big internal issue. And I'm really starting to think that is what's going to happen. Okay? Talent-wise, yes, it should work. The Nets should really be NBA champions. We should really pencil them in with the 3 stars that they have on this team. Talent-wise, yes, it should work. But I don't think the personalities are going to allow it. Okay? Starting with KD, I mean, the team has never come first for KD. And his attitude has really always rubbed me the wrong way. Okay? He wanted out of Oklahoma City. Got it. He went to a Golden State franchise and, I mean, could have made an even bigger dynasty there. He's a 2-time Finals MVP. Okay? And he basically just walked away from them. Okay? I know it was in free agency, whatever, but he walked away from them. And in his interviews, he really cited the reason as he didn't fit in with the guys in Golden State. To me, that is incredible. It's it's tough to imagine how Kevin Durant cannot fit in with guys like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. But I mean, you saw it while he was there. You saw some of the animosity. You saw some of the words Draymond Green said about KD. And you saw kind of that diva NBA mentality from him. It's KD was already rubbing me the wrong way before that. That really just made it worse. KD didn't fit in with Golden State because he just didn't want to fit in, because that's just his personality. Okay. Now you couple him in Brooklyn with Kyrie Irving, okay, the sage burning flat earther. He is one of the most universally disliked athletes in the world, especially if you're a Boston fan. He leaves a sour taste in the mouths of every organization that he's ever been a part of. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, he criticizes his head coach Steve Nash by basically saying he doesn't consider Steve Nash as the head coach of the team, that the players can coach the team. Imagine being Steve Nash and hearing that. Imagine being the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets and hearing that one of your star players doesn't even consider you to be a coach. Now throw James Harden into the mix. Now, James Harden may be the most level-headed one of these three, and that's really not saying much, okay? But James Harden essentially gave up on the Houston franchise. Okay? The things he asked for in Houston, he got. The players he wanted, he got. They just couldn't win. They couldn't put it together. They couldn't string some shots together, some free throws. They could not win. And so because of that, he quits on the team. He wants out. He wants nothing to do with Houston. He sits out. He goes to strip clubs. He's on interviews talking about you can't repair the situation. He quit on his team. He quit on the city, and he quit on the organization. Now that happens in the NBA, sure. But you add that personality with three other personalities that we just talked about in Brooklyn, I just don't see how this is going to work. I think that this trade is going to go down as one of the worst deals in Brooklyn Nets history. And that's saying a lot. That's saying a whole lot. Moving on to another topic in the same city, franchise quarterback Deshaun Watson for the Houston Texans wants out of town. And really, I don't blame him, okay? This, similar to the James Harden ordeal with the Rockets, the Texans organization has done everything possible to make the team worse around their franchise signal caller. Okay, from trading Jadeveon Clowney for a third-round pick to giving up 2 firsts and a second for Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills from the Dolphins, and capping it off by trading an all-pro receiver DeAndre Hopkins for a second-round pick and a washed-up running back in David Johnson. I mean, the moves this franchise has made are disastrous. And the Hopkins deal will go down as one of the more lopsided deals in NFL history. I think it was the nail in the coffin to firing Bill O'Brien, really 5 years too late. Despite the bonehead moves, though, there was a way to keep Watson happy in Houston. His request to ownership was that he be involved in the interviewing and hiring process of the team's next GM and head coach. And that request was reportedly granted by ownership, Cal McNair and Janice McNair. Then came the Nick Caserio hiring. And the cryptic tweet from Watson shortly after saying that some things don't change. Well, obviously, some things don't. Right? Shortly after, it became known that Watson was not involved in the interviewing process behind the hire of Caserio, and that was it for him. I don't understand how you can have a franchise quarterback, 25 years old, MVP candidate, okay? These guys don't come around often. You're not just picking them off a tree, okay? These are once in a lifetime or once in a generation NFL players having a franchise quarterback like Deshaun Watson. And if the remedy to keep him happy is to just involve him in the process of bringing in the next guy who's going to coach him and the next guy who's going to build a team around him, if that is too much for you, then you don't deserve Deshaun Watson. Trade him. Okay, but historically in the NFL, you don't trade your franchise quarterback, especially, like I said, if he's 25 years old, a perennial MVP candidate, and under contract through the 2025 season. Okay, we got 4 more seasons of him under team control. Trading a guy like this doesn't happen. Okay, but it really seems like ex-Patriot executive Nick Caserio and the Houston Texans really have no other option. He doesn't want to be there, and he's made that very clear. On the bright side for Houston, a deal for Watson would net a huge return, one of the biggest in NFL history. Okay. But there's only a few teams with the assets to really pull off such a deal. And for me, and a lot of the other analysts you're hearing, the most likely of trade suitors would be the Miami Dolphins. And here's why. Miami is loaded with draft picks this year. They have 2 first-round picks, including the 3rd overall pick in the draft, and 2 second-round picks. Now, ironically, they own both of Houston's first and second-round picks this year from the Tunsil and Stills trade. They also have quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who they used the 5th overall pick on in last year's draft to include in the deal, okay? There's also familiarity between Dolphins head coach Brian Flores and Houston GM Nick Caserio from their time in New England. Okay, so that's going to play into it there as well. And I think Deshaun Watson would like to go to Miami. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Miami, right? I'd go to Miami. But what is it actually going to cost to get him? Ultimately, I think a trade for Watson to Miami would come at a price of 3 first-round picks, sprinkle in a second-round pick, and you're going to have to throw in the 5th overall pick in last year's draft, Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, even after making a deal like this, the Dolphins still have the draft capital to improve their roster this season and beyond. Plus, the allure of having a Watson under center would make Miami an attractive destination for other free agents, and they have some money to spend. And as for Houston, this trade works for them because they would be able to really reset the clocks and fill the roster with at least 5 first-round picks over the next 3 seasons without having to worry about the quarterback's position with Tua under center. It's really tough to say a win-win situation. It's certainly a win situation for the Dolphins. For the Texans, it's more of make the best of the situation. And I think a trade with Miami for multiple first-round picks and a quarterback, maybe sprinkle in some other picks, is the best you can do considering the situation. But a trade of Watson to Miami really hurts one organization. Okay, this really hurts the New England Patriots, who would have to deal with both Josh Allen and Deshaun Watson in a division for the next decade to come. Okay, the Patriots are staring down the most important offseason in franchise history. After 20 years with the greatest quarterback of all time, we saw how this offense looked with Cam Newton under center and the ragtag pieces they put around him. I mean, this offseason is going to dictate maybe the next decade for the New England Patriots. Okay, they have arguably the worst roster in the league. They need to improve every position group on the team before the start of the 2021 season. And they'll get their first shot at doing that in free agency with the amount of cap space that they have. Okay, which will be the second to third most cap space of any team in the NFL this offseason. Maybe one of the first times the Patriots have ever been in a situation like this. Now, personally, I don't expect them to use it all. While I do anticipate that the Patriots will make some expensive splash signings, I expect them mostly to look for value. And why? Well, the league salary cap is expected to go down next year. That's obvious, considering they went the entire season without any attendance revenue. There were barely any fans in attendance. They didn't get any of that revenue. COVID-19 really struck the hammer down on not only the NFL, but every professional sports league in the country. And we're starting to see that trickle-down effect really affect cap spaces amongst these leagues. And the NFL is really going to be the first one to suffer from that the most. Okay, but the fact that the salary cap is going to go down, that should work well in the Patriots' favor because free agents likely will not be signing contracts at the top of their market. Okay, nobody's really going to set a market value this year because of the shortened cap. Right. We are already seeing that happen a little bit in Major League Baseball as they go through one of the quietest off seasons in recent memory. There really haven't been any splash signings, nothing that's really blowing you away in terms of dollar figures. Right? So the Patriots have a good shot at improving their roster in free agency, but where they must really focus on improving the team is really through the draft, which is something that they really haven't done successfully in a while. Right? As of right now, the Patriots own the 15th overall pick in the draft. And really, they can go one of many ways. Okay, they can trade up for a quarterback. They can trade down for more assets. Okay, they can draft the best defender available, which they can need, which they would need. Sorry, like I said, they need help at every single position group. They can fill a hole on the offensive line with guys like Dave Andrews and Joe Tooney. Maybe out the door, Marcus Cannon. Who knows if he's going to even play again next year? All right, or they can go after the best offensive skill player left, and that's really where I think they're going to go. Right? The Patriot offense in 2020 played some of the worst football that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I stopped watching. I haven't done that in 15 years. I could not watch the New England Patriots, led by Cam Newton, play. It was the most unwatchable football that I've ever seen. Take me to a Division III high school football game. I cannot watch that offense again. It was putrid, horrible. Okay, improving on that offensive side of the ball should be at the highest priority for the New England Patriots this offseason. In my first mock draft that I am releasing next week, keep an eye out for it, draftlordsports.com. I have the Patriots doing just that. I have them selecting the best offensive skill position player there left, and that's Alabama running back Najee Harris. I know a lot of you guys won't be excited about that. It's another running back. We've seen Bill spend a first-round pick on a running back before. That's Sony Michel. We've seen him do it on Lawrence Maroney. There really isn't a good track record of it. But Najee Harris is a different animal. First off, Harris is a far superior running back than Michel and Maroney. He embodies really the complete evolution of the NFL running back today. He stands at 6'2", he's 235 pounds, and he's a brute of a runner who's hard to bring down. All right, he's intelligent and patient behind the line. He allows his blockers to open rushing lanes before he gashes through them. He's also extremely versatile and can make body adjustments on passes down the field like a receiver who's 30 pounds lighter than him. I've seen him make some catches this season, some acrobatic catches that I thought he really had no business making. As a prospect, Harris reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell when he came out of Michigan State. I love Le'Veon Bell. I didn't think enough draft analysts were talking enough about Le'Veon Bell. This is a big-bodied running back with loads of versatility out of the backfield, and that's exactly what Harris brings to the table. Taking Harris at 15 gives the Patriots a legitimate building block on offense for at least the next 5 seasons, because when you're a first-round pick, you have that fifth-year team option. Okay, that's why first-round picks are so important in the NFL. This guy's got everything you need in a 3-down running back. He's got size, speed, versatility, and his presence would improve the Patriot passing game regardless of who's under center. Now, sure, I know you can make an argument that running backs don't win Super Bowls, and I would for the most part agree, but it can certainly help you get there, especially if they have the ceiling of a future All-Pro. There's more to be done for the Patriots than adding another running back, though, but doing so is certainly a good place to start for the worst offense in the NFL. Now, it's really weird, isn't it, Patriots fans? Gearing up for conference championship weekend and the Patriots are not there? I mean, this is for the last 10 years they've been in this game. For the last 10 years, we're getting ready, going over friends or family's house, picking up a 12-pack, getting ready to see Tom Brady essentially send you to another Super Bowl. And for the first time in a long time, we don't have that. Now, as I'm segueing into my conference championship predictions, I have to take a step back, and there's something that I really need to touch base on. Okay, I got some NESN hate that I really need to get out of my system. Right? For all you non-New Englanders or non-Boston sports fans, NESN, the New England Sports TV Network, they are home to the Red Sox and Bruins games, and they're the only reason why I've really carried cable for so many years. But NESN has done me wrong, let me tell you. I'll give you a backstory. Last year, I finally took the plunge and canceled cable, like a lot of people have. Okay, I don't think I'm new to that movement. All right, but it's just so damn expensive to have cable. But I still needed to have NESN. I still need to watch my Red Sox, which most of you that know me know I watch about, let's say, 80 to 90% of those games. So we're talking about 142 games a year. That is my whole spring, summer, and fall. I can't go without the Red Sox. Okay. I need NESN for that. I need NESN to watch my Bruins too. So what I did, I signed up for PlayStation View. That's Sony PlayStation's live streaming service. At the time, they hosted NESN in its live TV package. but that was really short-lived. I think it only lasted about 2 months when I had it. So Sony cut NESN from its services uh, basically a month after I joined. Bummer. My next move was to sign up for YouTube TV, who also hosted NESN. And that was going well up until about October 31st of last year. Wow. 2021, 2020, my dates are still all crazy, okay? But it was going well up until October 31st of last year when they announced that they would also be dropping NESN from its streaming service as well. What the fuck? So my last and final option was to sign up for Fubo TV, who despite the high price tag was worth it to me because they carried NESN. And we're talking Fubo's like almost $70 a month. Might as well just have cable again, right? But now there's rumors that Fubo will be the next to drop NESN. I can't for the life of me figure out what the hell NESN is doing and why can't they keep their network on these streaming services? Okay, baseball is dying amongst fans. It's not dead. Baseball's still bringing in revenue. Okay, they brought in more revenue a season ago than the NBA. But in terms of viewership, in terms of the younger generation watching baseball, it's dying. Why in the hell is NESN allowing for their network to be taken off of these streaming platforms? These platforms that the younger generation, is using to watch sports. They're not using cable anymore. NESN, they've just been so tone deaf. They've been so tone deaf. I don't understand where in their business plan they think it's a good idea to not come to terms with these streaming platforms to keep NESN aired. NESN, you got to get your shit together. You really got to get your shit together. But rant over, on to conference championship predictions. I mean, really, the NFL couldn't have asked for a better matchup than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Green Bay Packers squaring off at the frozen tundra on Sunday. Okay, 2 first ballot Hall of Famers duking it out to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl will be an absolute must-watch, even for the flimsiest of NFL fans. Okay, for years, Patriots fans looked forward to the day Brady and Rodgers would square off in the Super Bowl, but it never happened. And Sunday will be the closest we ever get to it, and maybe the last time. This is going to be exciting. Okay, both Rodgers and Brady are my 2 leading MVP candidates. I'm expecting a high-scoring affair and a finish that will take all 60 minutes to decide. I mean, it's only natural that it does. But ultimately, I believe that Tom Brady and the Buccaneers will emerge victorious and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl en route to Tom Brady's 10th appearance in the big game. I think they will do this not only on the hand of Brady, but behind a defensive line and a secondary that's playing out of their mind that can neutralize Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and the Green Bay offense. Now, for a moment, I did have to rethink it. And I rethought it because Bruce Arians earlier in the week announced that Antonio Brown was going to miss the game. He did pull up lame last week, and I really thought Antonio Brown was going to be a difference maker in this football game, a huge difference maker. And when he announced that he would be missing the game, I can't lie, I did go back. I did have to sit down and really think if I wanted to keep this prediction. But I'm going to keep it. Everything's primed for Tom Brady to win this game. Okay? The Super Bowl is being played in Tampa Bay. For the first time ever in NFL history, a team from the Super Bowl's hosting city can play in that Super Bowl. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. The NFL loves Tom Brady. I know some of you guys may think otherwise from his treatment when he was in New England. But really, the NFL just didn't like New England. They love Tom Brady. They love what this guy's doing for the brand. I think on Sunday, you're going to see fireworks from both teams, but especially Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right? They have Chris Godwin. They've got a pair of tight ends that are really game-changing players. Not as good as a guy in Kansas City, not even close, but 2 good tight ends in Bray and Gronk. And they have the best red zone receiver I've ever seen play in my life in Mike Evans. And I think he's going to have a huge, huge game on Sunday. So ultimately, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning this game by a score of 33-31, en route to representing the NFC in the Super Bowl for Tom Brady's 10th maybe last Super Bowl appearance. Now, over in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills and Chiefs AFC Championship matchup is exactly what I predicted would happen heading into the playoffs. And I'm sure it's what a lot of people predicted as well. Okay, these are the two best teams in the AFC. But do the Bills really stand a chance versus Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and the rest of the Kansas City Chiefs team? I think they do, but it's a slim one. Pat Mahomes is dealing with a lot. He had this rogue concussion, which I still don't know how it happened. His head never hit the ground. They're saying he was choked out, lost a little bit of consciousness. But either way, he suffered some type of injury that caused him to weeble wobble off the field like we all saw last week, okay? And he's also dealing with a toe injury. And I know you may downplay a toe injury, but a toe injury in the NFL is pretty serious, especially for a guy who really makes a lot of his plays on the move. I think because of these injuries, the Bills really have a shot to beat the Chiefs this weekend. But the only way that they're going to do it is if they slow down Travis Kelce. The Bills have been the worst in the league defending tight ends, and the Chiefs have the best one. What the Bills need to do is go back into the New England Patriots playbook and some of that game tape and see how Bill's able to neutralize Kelce, which he's done on multiple occasions. In a previous matchup during the regular season, the Chiefs and the Bills did meet up. I believe it was week 6, and Travis Kelce caught 2 touchdowns against him. If that happens again, Buffalo has no shot in this game. 0 shot in this game. But I'm riding high with Buffalo. Okay, this is a team that is dying. This is a city that is dying to be back in the Super Bowl. I mean, Buffalo Bills fans would do absolutely anything to get back into the Super Bowl. And I think the team and the players would too. Okay? And I think that drive and that motivation is really what's going to push them to a victory on Sunday. Kansas City's been there. Not that going to the Super Bowl can ever get stale, but Kansas City's been there. And they're playing from a different perspective here. They're playing to get back in. Whereas the Bills are playing to win their first ever Super Bowl in franchise history. And the NFL at times can be a game of momentum. The team that wants it more, the team that prepares more, the team that is more physical, the team that is more nasty, oftentimes wins the football game. And I think the Buffalo Bills have shown that nastiness. And they've shown that motivation, especially these last few weeks heading into the postseason and in their postseason games. The Bills are hungry. Everybody on that team is hungry. And I think that's what's going to put them over the edge. I really just think they're going to want it more. So I'm going to say it, and I'm going to go with it. I have the Buffalo Bills beating the Kansas City Chiefs 31-24. 31-24. It's on record. You heard it here. The Buffalo Bills will face off against Tom Brady in Tampa for the Super Bowl. Now, I'd be lying if I said part of my prediction isn't based on my personal desire to see Tom Brady once again own the Buffalo Bills just in a different uniform. I mean, how incredible would that be, right? But either way, win or lose, I think the city of Buffalo is going to be on fire. Similar to what we saw when Philly won the Super Bowl. You think about those fans in Buffalo. Oh, I can't wait to watch the news and see what they do. Well, we're approaching the 30-minute mark, and I think I said just about everything I had on my mind today. So there you have it. We've reached the end of this show. I first want to thank you for listening and sticking around with me here. I want you to keep an eye out for our next episode, and be sure you visit DraftLordSports.com for all of your NFL draft-related needs. Thank you all. Stay healthy. Stay happy. Draft Lord out.